What's up everyone, Scott the TroutHammer here, and I got you out here at a pond, and I want to show you one of the best rigs to catch bass in a pond. Small ones like this. Actually two sort of variations of the same rig, but they do basically the same thing. The Wacky Rig and the Neko Rig. Yep, you saw me. There you go, guys. That's a fish. There you go, guys. That's unreal! Oh, this is such an awesome looking fish. Oh yeah! Alright guys, check that out. So there's really very little difference between the two, how you rig them up, but the way you present them is completely differently. So I'm going to start with the Wacky Rig first. So what you want with the Wacky Rig is you want a straight shank hook. And I don't know if you guys can see that, it's pretty dark out here, but I just got a size 1 mosquito hook, and you just want a straight shank hook. And what you do is you take a plastic. I'm just going to use this Z-Man Senko as an example, and you take your hook and you just stab it right through the middle of the worm. Pretty simple, right? Well, here's one of the reasons why this thing is so good. So worms on the fall are really good for drawing a bass, and especially if it's a slow fall in a pond like this. And the reason being is as that falls, it falls sort of in this motion, and then what you do, you let it get all the way to the bottom, give it a couple twitches, and it'll sort of go like that, and then fall the same way again. And it's on those slow falls that way, it drives bass insane. You don't just have to use a Z-Man plastic like this. I use that as an example as stabbing the hook through the worm, because these things are indestructible. But you can use them on regular Senkos, you can use them on finesse worms, you even use them on big old trick worms like that. The size of worm doesn't matter as much as the presentation. The presentation does the same thing. And the reason I use that Z-Man plastic as an example of stabbing it through the middle, when you wacky rig that way with a, like say you use a smaller worm like this, or for this example, I'll use a Yamasenko here. You do that enough times, you're going to destroy the plastic. So they actually have these wacky tools, and they have these little rubber bands on the end. What you do is you put your worm in the tube, and then slide that rubber band over the spot where you're going to put your hook, and usually you want that to be right dead center in the worm, just like that. And then when you rig up, you put your hook hooking onto that ring like that, and not only are you more securely attached to the plastic, but doesn't destroy the worm. This also provides a slightly more weedless presentation with the Wacky Rig, because you have the hook going along the body of the worm instead of across it. So when it sits on the bottom, a lot less likely to get hung up. And since I got it hooked up like this already, I'm going to show you guys the other variation of that, the Neko Rig. So with the Neko Rig, you want to use the same thing. You want to use a straight shank hook. I just use a bigger hook. I go to a 1/0 mosquito hook for the Neko Rig, and you want to decide where your worm is going to be. What's going to be the nose and what's going to be the tail of the worm, and you want your hook going toward that tail of the worm like that, just like you would with a Wacky Rig. But there's one thing you're going to add. You're going to add a nail weight, and this is a 1/16 ounce tungsten. You just stab that nail weight into the end of the worm, and now when you have this drop out, you can see already how it hangs. That nose, the weight size is going to be on that nose, and the tail is going to stay suspended up. And what you do is, as you twitch this, it has a presentation of something feeding nose down on the bottom. Yes, I know weights are expensive, tungstens especially are expensive if you're going to use a Neko Rig, but one of the awesome things about a Neko Rig, just get some construction nails, anything that has that real rough cut along the nail itself, stab that into your worm, and it'll do the exact same thing. I mean, you see, still works just the same. And then with the Wacky tool, if you decide you're done with it, you just slowly and easily, so you don't destroy the worm, take that ring off, and then just put it right back onto the tool, ready to use next time. Alright, so let's get you guys out on the water and show you guys how to fish these things. That's pretty much what I'm doing, guys. I picked the shady spot under this tree, and just pitching out that Wacky Rig and just letting it fall to the bottom, and then just giving it a couple twitches, come back up, let it fall again. Because I know there's a bunch of rocks down here in front of me, but I also know, like, right about there where the tree, where the tree overhangs, like right where that ends, there's a drop off right there. I wonder if I can. Yep, perfect. Oh. on the Wacky Rig. Yeah, that's 3-pounder.
Oh, wow.
Yep, that's 3-pounder.
Nice. Look at that one. Yeah, come here.
It's on the Wacky Rig.
Wow, that's really good.
That's the first decent largemouth of the year for me.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a rough year. Check that out.
Pretty nice fish,
Yeah.
huh?
She's not gonna move. I got her by the lip. She's
You can touch it. You
yeah.
touch it?
You can touch it if you want.
See that thing?
All right. Thank you so much. I'm going to do the same thing here, but I'm going to keep my rod tip up as I'm letting that fall and just giving it real gentle twitches, letting it fall again. Didn't have to keep my rod tip up, but I was in a more elevated position. So now, let's switch it up a little and go with that Neko Rig. So the Neko Rig, your tactic is going to be really similar to the Wacky Rig. Just sort of pitch it out there, and what I'm going to do is once it hits the bottom, that's when I'm just going to get tension on the lure, keep my rod tip up, and I'm watching where my line enters the water. Once I see it go limp, that means the nose of that plastic is touching the bottom. I'm just going to give it little gentle hops as I bring it back in toward me. And you know, what I mean by gentle twitches is just that. I am moving the tip of my rod just enough to nudge the bait toward me. And then reeling in the slack slowly as I go. You know, one of the best things about a Neko Rig is by design, when you retrieve this, it's weedless because the point of that hook is going up toward the back of the lure, so you're bringing it this way through grass lines. You know, the biggest difference between the Neko Rig and the Wacky Rig is you want the Neko Rig on the bottom the entire time. So yeah, there you guys go, teaching you guys how to fish the Wacky Rig and the Neko Rig. I hope you guys liked the video. I know I had fun making it, my first big bass this year. A long time coming. And just goes to show, in ponds like this, little areas like this, it catches the big bass. But let me know what you guys thought in the comments down below. Experienced anglers, if you guys have experience with the Wacky Rig and the Neko Rig, please add some information as well. And again, I'm trying to get this channel to grow to 1,000 subscribers, and I need your guys' help to do that. So if you could, please hit that subscription button, that little notify bell up there, so you're going to be the first to see all the great content that's going to come from this channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, tips up, tight lines, and have fun fishing.